The ruins of ancient Yarang kept its secret for centuries in the middle of rural villages of Patani. Numerous artifacts found buried under the ruins, statues, pottery, brickworks, and a gold coin with an image of a barking deer, a sun, and a moon. The richness of the artifacts and extensivity of the scattered ancient temples make ancient Yarang presumed as the center of an ancient kingdom of Langkasuka. Langkasuka was faded into the history, its own writing were lost, and its exact location disputed for decades until the early 20th century. What happened to the prosperous maritime kingdom of Langkasuka? Let's visit an ancient temple and understand of the ancient kingdom of Langkasuka at its ruins in the town of Yarang. Patani is located on the eastern coast of Malay Peninsula, deep south in modern-day Thailand. Patani is blessed with a deep harbour surrounded by a sandy cape on the north of the bay, making Patani Port protected from the open sea. Despite the extensive literature of Langkasuka in the Asian written history, its location and its own existence were debated for centuries. Most of the literary sources are derived from other civilizations, as Langkasuka did not leave any meaningful written sources of their own. During his trip to India via Srivijaya, Tang-era Chinese monk Yi Jing mentioned of a kingdom named Langkasu in his book A Record of Buddhist Practices Sent Home from the Southern Sea, written between 671 until 695. In Portraits of Periodical Offering of Liang, written between 526 until 539, there is a painting of an envoy from Langkasuka, together with some information of his homeland. In Chinese historical book, Book of Liang or Liang Shu, quote, "The kingdom of Lang Yashu is situated in the Southern Sea. Its frontiers are 30 days journey from the east to west and 20 from south to north. It is 24,000 li distant from Guangzhou." Zhu Fanzhe, completed in 1225, written by UN officer Zhao Ruguo, comply of the kingdoms he encountered on his voyage to the South Sea. The inhabitants of the country boil seawater to make salt and ferment glutinous rice to make spirits. The native products are garu wood, superior to that of any other foreign country. The book mentioned of a kingdom named Lingyashija, which identified as Langkasuka, which located 6 days by sailing south from Tambralinga and north of Teng Yanu and Foloan, which was identified as the ancient Terengganu. I talked about ancient Terengganu in the previous video, where a 40th century inscribed stone was accidentally found and adding an enigma to the history of Malay Peninsula. Surprise! The link to watch this video will be appeared. Sulaiman bin Ahmad al-Mahri, a 15th century Yemeni navigator and student of renowned Indian Ocean navigator Ahmad ibn Majid, wrote in his book that Langkasuka is located between Singur and Kelantan of China. In one of Tanjore inscription written on 1030, located on the south wall of Raja Rajaswara Temple in Tanjore, India, Langkasuka was under the suzerainty of Srivijaya. Chola Empire attacked Srivijaya between 1025 and 1026 with an unclear reason, either to subjugate the trade route or to protect its ally Angkor when Angkor tried to expand the power southward to Isthmus of Kra. In Javanese epic poem Nagara Kertagama, written in 1365, Langkasuka was briefly mentioned as part of Pahang, which was ruled by Majapahit. In Kedah Annals, or better known as Hikayat Merong Mahawangsa, Langkasuka was mentioned, but in one of the passages wrote, quote, "The Princess Khosat said, 'Go back to Kedah, to my royal father, and tell him that this is a country called Patani.' Now, King Sri Mahawangsa, which is a son of Mahaposidat and described 2 lines previously as King of Kedah, did not wish to stay at Langkasuka as it was very far from the sea. So he ordered his 4 ministers to gather lime and mussel shells, with to build a fortress downstream, for the river was big and wide. When looking at the Arabic sources and Chinese and Chola Indian sources, Lankasuka and Kedah often mentioned separately as if they were two separate kingdoms. Bear in mind that Arabic and Chinese and Indian writers who record these history writings were written by the people who lived at the time. Furthermore, the book Zhu Fanjie wrote of Lankasuka produced sea salt from seawater. Guess what is one of the products produced in Patani today? Salt. Based on the conclusion by Roland Brandel and Paul Whitley and supported by later historians, Lankasuka is an ancient kingdom located on the east coast of Malay Peninsula, between Tambralinga and Kelantan. What makes Lankasuka worthy to be mentioned by the civilization who visit the vanished kingdom? Aloes wood, Pyrus camphor, and such like are especially abundant. The major produce of Lankasuka were tin, elephant tusk, gold, lacquer wood and agar wood. Lacquer wood, or its scientific name Dalbergia parviflora, which is often used to make rosary and incense. Incense is heavily used in the Eastern folk religions as joss sticks, while lacquer wood is sought after due to its reddish hue, akin of a dragon's blood. Agar wood is the most common ingredient to make incense in most religions. Joss sticks in Eastern folk religions and Buddhism, agarbati in Hindu temples, censer in Christian churches, and bakhur and oud in mosques. As Lankasuka produced the best available agar wood in the ancient world, its name was worthy to be mentioned by the visiting travelers who saw the agar wood trading. With the wealth from the trade, people in ancient Yarang are able to construct a city surrounded by moats and build large temples. Ancient Yarang city was surrounded by 3 layers of moat with almost equal length of 1.2 km on its 4 sides, paired with a network of canals linking the inland city with the coast while watering the agricultural land surrounding the city, the canals that partly still in use today. Lankasuka got its fame as the sources of agar wood, thus became cautious of the neighbouring empires such as Angkor and Srivijaya. Precariously survived in the region with larger empires eyeing an expansion, Lankasuka found itself under the suzerainty of different empires under different times. Do remember that the concept of the country in the ancient times is not the same as the countries in the modern times today, modern era, with borders, sovereignty and its own constitution. By time allegiance of Lankasuka shifted from under Srivijaya in the 11th century to under Majapahit in 14th century with possible period of independence. The concept is called suzerainty. A kingdom is under protection of an empire but they were allowed to run the internal affairs of the country. A concept that later turned into Muang system in Thai history until the modernization of Siam in the late 19th century. Regardless of the mighty and the grand story of the state folklore, the record of daily life in Lankasuka is more relatable to us because they are the story of commoners, just like us. It is customary for men and women to go with the upper part of the body naked, with their hair hanging itself down their backs. When the king goes forth, he rides upon an elephant. He is accompanied by banners, flywheels, flags and drums, and he is shaded with a white parasol. The inhabitants of the country say that their state was founded more than 400 years ago. Yes, all commoners wear sarong, just this level below, only royals and nobility can wear full body attire or afford to. By the late 15th century, the record of Lankasuka vanished and no longer mentioned in any contemporaneous historical records. In folklore history Hikayat Patani, there was a ruler moved from inland to coastal area and founded Kingdom of Patani. Patani rose to prominence in the middle of 15th century with center of power and trade in Krisek, about 5 km east of modern Patani city. Lankasuka is perhaps one of the select few ancient kingdoms that were vanished not due to war or conflict because there is lack of both folk history or written history of any military expedition to Lankasuka. No war, no conflict, no weapons. It was disappeared due to the change of trade location since moving nearer to the coast makes trading, administration and taxation easier. The conversion to Islam also played a factor as the temples were abandoned around the time of the foundation of Kingdom of Patani. However, trying to understand what happened to Lankasuka is a mystery in a modern time. Other than archaeological findings in the temple ruins, the traces of Lankasuka is minimal at best due to cultural practices of prioritizing wood over brick or stone. No traces of houses, temples, small temples, or even palace for the king. No trace. Combined with the Shaivite, Hindu and Buddhist practice of cremation of the dead, no archaeological findings of any grave either. Bones could tell a lot. Their diet, their age and DNA tests to trace their ancestry. Unless there is a stone inscription that can tell a little bit about these temple builders. Most of the buildings in the ancient kingdoms of Southeast Asia are often built with wood with very select exceptions. According to the 14th century traveller and scholar Ibn Battuta in his travelogue, a masterpiece to those who contemplate the wonders of cities and marvels of travelling, or better known as Ar-Rihlah, he described the tradition of Indian royals regarding the house during his 50-year stay in Delhi. The palace of the deceased king will be abandoned and left to ruin, while the new king will be enthroned in his own palace. Thus, the Indianization of Southeast Asia might brought the tradition where a new ruler often enthroned in their own palaces and the next crown prince has built his own palace. Wood is preferable than stone since it's cheaper to buy, readily available in the lush tropical jungle and easy to walk on. Furthermore, one of the lasting legacies that Lankasuka left to the Malay kingdoms are the art of wood carving. Other than the practicality and the cost, wood might have a significant meaning, spiritual meaning. Wood is temporary and will decay by time, just like humans, where we just live temporarily on this land. Both royals and commoners, the house of the old man will be left to ruin, as all the children might have their own houses. Thus, the wooden house will collapse, decay and disappear without a trace. A theory that is supported by Clark Jacques, the renowned researcher of Angkor nicknamed Monsieur Angkor. Anything that was not to honor gods was built of perishable material, even the king's palace, because men are mortal and will cease to exist someday. An unspoken tradition that continues up to this day. That explains the old houses in the villages in Malaysia. You can go out from your room and look yourself. Unlike wood, stone is reserved for eternal purposes such as temples and stupas that be assumed to be used forever, long after the builders and the rulers who ordered the construction left the world. Because there is no record of the actual name of the city, H.G. Quatrich Wells recommend that the ancient site name remain to be called as Ancient Yarang. Despite of its disappearance from the historical record in the 15th century, Lankasuka left a tremendous legacy in the Malay states. Legacy number 1, architecture. Surau Au in Teluk Ahor, Yaring is the oldest standing mosque in Patani with the assumed age of more than 400 years old. Mosques that were built during historical Patani period has elongated rectangular shape which is unique in the region. The similar design was used in main hall or ubosot of wooden Buddhist wat that was built in the villages for the commoners to pray. Other historical wooden mosques in Malaysia and Indonesia were usually built in square shape with 3-level roof. Okay, you might ask, did ever Buddhist wat built with wood? Wat Au in Prachop Kirikan is example of how wooden wat looks like. I talked about Prachop Kirikan in the previous video where this 10km wide strip is the essential connector between southern provinces with the rest of Thailand. The link to watch this video will be appeared this wide. Before the industrialization, Buddhist wat was commonly built with wood because it is cheaper, easy to work on and faster to finish. Stone or brick temples usually took years to finish and possible to construct only with the king's patronage, who has the money, manpower and resources to order the momentous task. It is only when bricks and concrete are accessible by the commoners that the wooden wat is the thing of the past. Legacy number 2, trading. Patani is famous among the Malay states as a trading state, thanks to its valuable export commodity of agar wood, deep protected harbour and hard-working people. This is more relatable legacy than the others that, unlike the story of the kings and palatial architecture that only a very few people can see, everyone need to buy something from the market. Before the road, there are rivers and canals carrying goods. Before the commerce activity concentrated in modern-day Patani city, periodic market, better known as NAT, was crucial in trading activities, where the coastal traders met inland traders to sell their goods. Lucky that on the day to the Langkasuka site, I stumbled upon a market somewhere in Patani, a living history of trade that conducted for centuries in this region. This local market is an example of a place that people can trade and spend their coins. The golden coin. Remember the golden coin with the image of an animal, a sun and the moon in the beginning of the video? The gold coin of Kijang Mas was found among the ruins of ancient Yarang during previous excavation works. There is a missing link between how Patani got its coin design, unlike the rest of Malay states. Other coins in the Malay kingdoms usually use calligraphy, Arab calligraphy, following the practice of Arab and Persian rulers who minted their reigning name on the coins. According to Central Bank of Malaysia Museum and Art Gallery, Kijang Mas coin was based from Farnham coins minted in India, where Langkasuka was heavily traded with. Farnham is a type of gold coin often produced by southern Indian kingdoms such as Vijayanagara and Mysore Sultanate. Notice that the moon on the coin is actually on the right side of the sun, but the moon on the flag of the Muslim majority country is on the left side of the sun, and the position of the coin was never corrected, ever. Peaceful conversion of Patani from syncretism of Shaivite and Buddhism to Islam means that the changes are mostly spiritual and not physical. Instead of the bull, the image of the barking deer, endemic to Patani and Kelantan, was used, paired with the folklore of Cik Siti Wan Kembang of Kelantan. Sun and the moon changed its meaning from Shiva and Parvati to the symbol of Islam commonly found on flags. Based on Kijang Mas gold coin of Patani, which was also legal tender in neighbouring Kelantan, the design was chosen as the logo of Central Bank of Malaysia since 1964. The logo you can see on ringgit banknotes today. Today, ruin number 3 and number 8 have been put under the covered building to protect the ruins from the element. Careful when walking around the ruins, you might break something. Since the building next door that's supposed to be a museum still not open, the enclosure of the ruin number 3 becomes the open-air museum. Thus, the ruins are what remains of once was a bustling city that was part of Langkasuka, an ancient kingdom that still kept its secret well into the modern times. If you want to visit ancient Langkasuka sites around Yarang, the best way is to drive with a private vehicle or self-arrange a transport. From Patani or Yala, drive to Yarang via Highway 410, turn to Road 4061 towards Mayor and follow the road sign. Yarang is located in the southern province of Patani. Please check the travel advice on security from your respective country before visiting. Thank you so much for watching. I hope you learned something new about Langkasuka as a thriving ancient kingdom and how its disappearance puzzling the historians. Thank you so much for watching again and see you in the next video.